On today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys, A Nightmare on Elm Street 30th Anniversary Ultimate Freddy. Unlike the previous released Freddy's, this particular Freddy is released in a open window box, very similar to what we have been seeing from like the NES related characters from NECA. On the front though, the original artwork for A Nightmare on Elm Street poster, complete with Nancy in bed there and Freddy at the top corner. Nice touch. Side of the box features A Nightmare on Elm Street NECA Toys 30th Anniversary Ultimate Freddy. That same carries over to the top along with a picture of Freddy Krueger, recommended for ages 17 and up. And on the back of the package, Nancy is having grisly nightmares, something monstrous wants to kill her. Meanwhile, her high school friends who are having the very same dream are being slaughtered in their sleep by the hideous fiend of their shared nightmare. When the police ignore their explanation, she must confront the killer in his shadowy realm. Freddy also includes some accessories, the mask, the alternate face, the really cool phone, and the squirting severed off fingered hand. And then we open up the inside of the box. The inside of the box features the picture of Freddy and Freddy in his glory inside there. Having said that, Spot's going to take a break. Going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at A Nightmare on Elm Street 30th Anniversary Ultimate Freddy. More heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Those who have collected the Nightmare on Elm Street figures will know right away that this is simply really just a re-release, the original Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 Freddy. There's a little bit different, granted, between this one and the original release, and so much so Old Spot's bringing in the original Part 1 Freddy, where you can see the difference between the two. Coloring right off the bat, extremely different between the two. Yes, the coloring is pretty much the same, the red and the green, but the red, for example, has a wash over it, giving it almost more of a slick look. Now granted, you may not very well enjoy the slicked, wet look that this Freddy had. You might prefer a little bit more of a dusted, almost more matte color that this one is being presented as. The real draw of getting the Ultimate Freddy versus having the original Freddy's is the introduction to the articulated legs, which is something that these Freddy's, as great as they were, unfortunately didn't have. They didn't have any sort of articulation in the legs. The Jasons were very spoiled in the sense that they had articulation in legs. Freddy, though, kind of got overlooked where we got staction legs. This Freddy does remedy that. You do have fully articulated legs, complete with articulated knees and feet. Though I don't know, I just don't know if something's not working for me on the Ultimate Freddy here. I almost feel like the colorings are almost a little too muted for my liking. Things such as also the gloves are a little bit different too. Once again, bring in the Ultimate Freddy in versus, I should say, the Ultimate Freddy versus the original Freddy here. Gloves are a little bit different from one another. The red section of the gloves now completely omitted. They've now gone back to a more copper color, which I think actually this is a more accurate color. The colors, though, are a little more vibrant in the original Part 1 Freddy. You'll also see, too, that the faces are a little bit different. This is the alternate face Freddy. Now, he does come with that same head, which by a preference, I think I prefer this Freddy head versus the one that's already on him. But to fix that, we can just pop the head off. It's just on a ball joint. Just pop it off like that. And we'll just pop the head on there. I thought I actually broke it, but it's just the way that the ball joint is. It actually doesn't end in a ball joint. It's more like just a peg. But we just clip the head on like so. Initially, I was actually thinking that I could probably pop the head on from the original Part 1 Freddy, and this is actually really, really stiff. Actually, had to pause the camera. That's not something I hopefully will have to change too often. But there you have the original Freddy, much more slicker in the face, versus this Freddy right here. I guess this face is more accurate. It wouldn't be as shiny as it was, you know, in the original figure that we had right here. Yeah, I do prefer this face a lot more than the other face. More sinister look of Freddy Krueger. Now, he does also come with his fedora. And his fedora is interesting in that it's either extremely warped or they've sculpted it with additional curl in the fedora. It's very different than the one that we got before. Much more, well, much more curled, as you can see, on the one side versus here. But if you want, you could take the fedora, change it out with the other one. Nah, I think this one, I think the one that came with it works a lot better. The hat also is different in this Freddy than later releases of Freddy, because Freddy's hat got a little larger in size. The original Freddy was a little more smaller in scale. Other things that are available in this figure is the alternate skull face. And if I can just get Freddy to stand. Standing him seems to be a little more problematic. But the alternate face also included with Freddy is this face right here. So he comes with a total of 3 faces. And this skull face is also the same skull face that we got before in part 1. Same sculpt, paint slightly different. And I know I might have to give it to the original part 1 Freddy for being a little more, it's got a little more depth than this one right here. Just my preference, really. Pegs are the exact same. Coloring is roughly about the same. The blood at the top there, the scabs, are a little more predominant on the part 1 versus Ultimate Freddy. The one thing actually this Freddy didn't have, despite the fact it comes with all the other accessories, this particular Freddy also came with the extendable arms, if everybody remembers that. This one doesn't come with it, which is really strange. You could, I suppose theoretically, you could take the arms right off and replace them with the longer sleeves, but likely you probably pick this guy up. You might already have this guy. You could get you could keep the longer arms on the original Part 1 Freddy and keep Ultimate Freddy just as is. Other accessories included with this Freddy. Now these accessories, for the most part, are new to this Freddy. You get yourself the phone, which is a nice touch. Let's bring the camera in right here. Phone complete with Freddy's tongue. "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." It's a nice looking phone. You could unravel the cord. There's a little cord wrapped around the phone here. The phone cord, the coil cord to the receiver, wraps very easily. I thought actually it was just going to be a solid piece, but it does move and it does have a lot of flexibility to it. The tongue on the end is a nice touch. Paint very good too for a phone receiver this small. So you get yourself the phone. You also get yourself a skin mask that you can take and put over Freddy's face. Now, I haven't actually tried it with this face. I did try it with the other Freddy face, and it seemed to stay on there really well. Now, this Freddy face might be a little harder. No, it doesn't seem to stay as well. I was going to say this Freddy face seemed to stay a little bit better because it pegs itself into the nose area of Freddy. And as you can see, the mask isn't going to come off. And lastly, the one other accessory you get is the severed finger, the severed squirting finger of Freddy Krueger, which easily enough could be swapped out with the hand. Just take the hand itself, swivel it, and pop it. That's not a term I really want to be using too often, but swivel it and pop it right off that ball joint socket. Once again, wiggle it, pop it back on, and you got Freddy with his severed finger. Or fingers, really. One finger is already severed, the other finger has just been severed and is squirting a goo, a slimy greenish goo. There you go. And we'll just pop this off again. Put the hand back on. There we go. Now, in the way of Freddy's, Ultimate Freddy's articulation, he has essentially all the same articulation that we got with this guy less the torso down. Pretty much from the torso down, you're looking at a new sculpt. And what's interesting to note is that it seems like they've flipped the sculpt of the sweater. The reason why I say that is, notice it kind of bows out on the one side on Freddy's, Part 1 Freddy, but it seems to go the opposite way on this Freddy Krueger here. And if I just lift this up ever so slightly, there is a sculpted torso underneath that. It's pale, yes, but there is a sculpted torso underneath that Freddy. For your articulation on Ultimate Freddy, his head is on that ball joint that we were looking at earlier. Shoulders are also on a ball and hinge socket, so they rotate out, and the arms forward and back. He has a bend and rotation in the forearm, a rotation in the hand via that ball joint. He has a swivel in the waist, and then the new articulation, you have the legs go forward, back, out, a bend at the knee, a swivel at that lower leg, and a ball joint in the foot. Certainly to say this is Ultimate Freddy, it lives up to its name. It's a great looking figure. I feel again like the sweater could be a little more vibrant. It's not to say that I want it as wet and slicked as Part 1, but I feel like some of the color could be a little more vibrant in the sweater area. The rest of the figure is really nice. As a side note, I don't know if this is something that NECA would ever consider, but I wonder if it would be possible for them to release, as I just dropped his hat, let's put his hat back on. I was wondering if they would ever consider releasing just this section right here. Sell this section right here as an add-on, this piece right here. The reason why I say that is I don't know how, I haven't tried this yet, and I might even consider getting a second Freddy to actually give this a try, but I was wondering if you could actually take this bottom section of Freddy, pop it off, and mount it to the underside torso of all your other Freddys. Because essentially, it's not to say that they have to re-release every Freddy that we've gotten already, which is what, probably about 6 or 7. Re-release all of them using the new articulation. But if it is as simple as I think it is to pop this bottom torso off and use these legs, switch these legs out to all the other Freddys that you have in your collection, NECA doesn't have to re-release the figures. NECA can release this just essentially as an add-on pack. You could call it lower, I don't know, Freddy leg add-on. Sell just these, and if it's as easy as I think it is to pop this bottom torso off, then we as the collectors could switch it out for all these new pieces. Just an idea. If it's something that NECA would certainly consider doing, I would definitely consider picking up a whole slew of these, or at least 7 or 8 of these, and switching them out to all the other Freddys that we have. The Freddys, the existing Freddys, don't need to be changed, but I do like the articulation. I'm not a big fan of the pre-sculpted staction lower bodies. Being able to switch it out for this would be A-OK. When it comes to a rating for Ultimate Freddy, again, it's something where we've kind of been there, done that, but NECA has gone back and done it. If you ask me, they've done it right. This is a great addition, and no longer am I kind of putting my Freddys next to my Jasons, and I'm looking at the Jasons and thinking, wow, those Jasons have really neat articulation. Kind of wish the Freddys had that. Now, Ultimate Freddy now is the answer to that problem. Whether they'll release more of these little add-on pieces, I don't take credit at all for this suggestion, but if they can release these little add-on pieces, then we can definitely upgrade our Freddys to the new articulation. Having said that though, Ultimate Freddy, I'm going to give him an 8.5. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the NECA Toys Nightmare on Elm Street 30th Anniversary Ultimate Freddy. Stay tuned guys, Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.